We're going to give it just another minute before we get started, but thank you all for being here this morning. A couple of housekeeping items. If you've joined us on the Zoom, please use the chat feature to ask questions. Okay, good morning. It's 10 a.m. My name is Ashley Heimbigner. I'm the Communications and Engagement Director for the City and Borough of Juneau. I'm also serving as the Public Information Officer for the 2025 Juneau Glacial Lake Outburst Flood Incident as part of the Unified Command. It's been a long night, and for many of us, it's been an even longer morning. We're still in the middle of an active incident. I know many of us are eager to get updates on from our subject matter experts of what has happened and where we're at right now, so we'll get right into that. I just want to take a quick moment to express gratitude to all of you in the room, both from our local, tribal, state, and federal partners, and of course our members of the media who have been fantastic partners in helping keep our community prepared, informed, and connected to the best information. I'd like to recognize we do have quite a few subject matter experts from various agencies in the room. We'll be hearing from many of them, but we do have additional representatives to speak to questions as well during a general Q&A at the end. For those in the room, please wait to ask questions until we open it up to Q&A so that we can move through this quickly. In terms of our agenda, we'll start with an update from the National Weather Service, a safety briefing from Assistant Chief Sam Russell of CFR, and then we'll move into an incident briefing from our various subject matter experts and our Unified Command. With that, I will pass it to Nicole Farron of the National Weather Service.
Good morning. Thank you, Ashley. So this morning, the lake officially crested at 16.65 feet at 7:15 a.m. We have subsequently seen the new gauges on the bridges downstream that USGS installed. They have also crested, and those are starting to slowly recede. However, the lake level is falling very quickly. It's already down to 14 feet as of this hour, and so that's receding as expected quickly. Last night we did reach the 14-foot 12 level shortly after midnight, and we broke the previous record at about 5:20 a.m. last night. So this is a new all-time record high crest for the Mendenhall Lake and River system. Questions after?
Sure.
Or now?
Questions now. Does anyone have questions for Nicole Farron? Okay, none of this time.
Thank you.
We'll keep moving. We'll now have a quick safety briefing from Assistant Chief Sam Russell from Capital City Fire and Rescue. We had a lot of teams working to keep people safe last night, and he'll tell us a little more about that.
Good morning. We have, just want to reiterate that we have an active incident going on right now. We're still in an evacuation advisory, and we want to keep people out of the areas that have been evacuated. Those areas, there are places where there's standing water, there may be debris, and until our teams have a chance to assess the damage and assess the situation, we want to make sure that the public stays out of there for their safety and the safety of our responders. We're going to be going through that area and then come up with some re-entry criteria, but we won't have a chance to do that until the teams have had a chance to assess the HESCO barriers and the damage that's throughout the area. Just a reminder, don't walk through standing water. If you find yourself in standing water, try and stay away from standing water. Try and stay away from running water. Don't drive through those areas as well. I know we're telling everybody to stay out, but if you do find those situations, stay out of those situations. You don't know what's in the water. Oftentimes you can't see the bottom and don't know that you might be falling into a place where you don't want to be. We do also want to remind everybody, if you're out there and you're in the area anyways, and just stay off the HESCO barriers, stay away from the river, stay away from the HESCO barriers. We don't have a lot of resources to provide rescue, and we just want you to be safe out there.
Thank you. Any questions for Assistant Chief Russell? Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, one question. Thank you.
Did you have to do any rescues last night?
No, we had no rescues. Most folks evacuated the area and stayed out of the area. We didn't have any significant incidents with the water, and so we didn't have to do any work last night. It was kind of nice.
Do you recall last year if you did have to do rescues, and if so, how many?
We did. I don't recall how many. We had to do several evacuations, emergency evacuations by watercraft. I don't believe we had to do any rescues per se where people were in the water and endangered, but we did several evacuations. But I couldn't tell you the number without going back to data.
Thank you.
So it sounds like we do have one more question from the chat.
I think that's just a little bit of unclarity on terminology. The question here is, can someone please explain the incident?
Sorry. So the incident is the Glacial Lake flood outburst, or outburst flood. I mixed those two up. And so we had the initial flood that the National Weather Service just talked about has already peaked and is starting to come down. But there's still a lot of work to do with damage assessments and safety assessments to make sure that we're allowing people back in when it's safe, and not just opening the gates and letting people go.
That's a great segue to our next presenters. Thank you, Assistant Chief Russell. Ryan O'Shaughnessy from the City and Borough of Juneau, and Sabrina Grubitz from Tlingit and Haida, are unified commanders.
Good morning. Thank you. As mentioned, my name is Sabrina Grubitz. I'm the Tlingit and Haida Public Safety Manager and serving in the Unified Command as an incident commander for this disaster response. As of today, the non-emergent hotline that was set up, we've received over 70 calls. We've received around 75 calls that have accessed that information, or that line for information. As mentioned, yes, we have reached a crest for the flooding itself, but that does not mean that it is safe to re-enter those areas at this point in time. So we're asking the community and citizens to please avoid those areas for now, so that we continue to provide space for our responders to do situational awareness and prepare for later activities. Later today, you will see likely, as the water continues to recede, teams that will be preparing to go out into the field for preliminary damage assessments, and in addition to that, doing debris cleanup. So be aware of that. We are aware that there are some streets that do have some standing water at this point in time, and we are actively working towards dewatering those locations and finding a safe space to do that in. As mentioned before, please avoid those areas that are, as I have mentioned before, please avoid any areas that still have standing water, and we will be communicating to the public through press releases when, in conjunction with our partners, we've determined that it would be safe to return to those areas. At this time, the shelter will continue to remain open, and we will also be communicating to the public when that determination to close the shelter down will be made. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. So as has been mentioned, this is an active and evolving incident. We are still engaged in flood response. Although the river has crested and is dropping, we are still responding to this flood, and we respectfully ask for the public's continued cooperation in staying out of these neighborhoods and giving our first responders a chance to get in there, assess the damage, and make final inspections on the HESCO barriers. We're making final inspections and assessing that damage in a number of ways. We're actively monitoring the situation in partnership with all of our agency partners in the Unified Command, the Army Corps of Engineers. That looks like drone monitoring. Soon, like Sabrina said, you'll start to see representatives of the Unified Command in your neighborhood making those site inspections. And we will communicate when it is safe to get back into your neighborhood as soon as possible. Those communications will be made through all of our standard messaging, alert sense, Everbridge notifications. So we ask the public to please sign up, continue to sign up and monitor and heed the emergency notices that will be sent out via those channels. Currently, I'd like to provide some current status updates. I just wanted to let folks know that we are currently seeing flooding on Meadow Lane. At Meadow Lane and Stikine, we're seeing some minor flooding. The Safeway parking lot, Meander Way, Marion Drive, Parkview and Center Court, Kilowitz Drive along some of the barriers. On View Drive, we're seeing flooding. The end of Long Run Court, and Betty Court and G Street, we are seeing some limited water in those places. I'd like to echo what Assistant Chief Russell mentioned. If you see water in the neighborhood as you are moving around, either evacuating or once we've advised to come back in, please do not drive through or walk through floodwaters. You don't know what's underneath of the floodwater. There could be hazards there. There could be hazardous materials in it. Floodwater can also move very swiftly. It can move just a little bit of water, can move a vehicle off the road. It can sweep a person off their feet. And our number one priority is always going to be the life and safety of the public and our first responders. Please don't drive through floodwaters. Don't drown. Turn around is an easy way to remember that. I'd like to thank the public for their continued cooperation as we wrap up this incident, and we'll take questions. Reese?
Is there any update on the AELMP and power? The last update I saw was 8:35, but I haven't seen anything since. Is power back on?
So I will just add that this is an active and evolving incident, but the most recent information indicates that power is coming on. Power was shut off to a large swath of the affected area, and power is starting to come back on incrementally through the neighborhood.
Yeah, Corinne Smith, Alaska Beacon. What is the assessment of the HESCO barriers at this time, and how effective were they?
So currently we are still monitoring the HESCO barriers. We're doing that in close partnership with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, who's our core partner in building those HESCO barriers. The barriers are by and large holding together. We are seeing a small amount of seepage in the HESCO barriers in certain locations, and that's still very much being assessed. Again, that assessment's happening via drones and will soon start to happen in person as we make assessments that the water on the river side of the barriers is dropping to a point where our personnel can be safe and make those in-person inspections.
Initially, points where they broke through?
There have been some areas where there have been tree strikes on the barriers, and we're working to make those assessments with our partners via all those methods mentioned.
That being said, we can definitely say that if the HESCO barriers were not placed, we certainly would have seen a considerable amount more damage than we saw now. So for that information, they certainly have been doing their job in that way. Thank you.
Questions from the chat? First, I think this is a request for comment from KINY. KINY has received video of a large chunk of the Mendenhall Loop Road bridge that has fallen off the bridge.
So.
Can I speak to that? Sorry. I think we have quite a few representatives from several agencies that will be respond to questions I'm guessing you will have. So I think what we'll do now is invite each of those representatives to give a quick briefing on their response and where they're at, and then we'll save a Q&A for after we do sort of a round robin. So I'd like to invite Christopher Goins, Commissioner of the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities, to speak to that question and talk more about what their teams have been doing.
Hi, Christopher Goins, Director of DOT, not Commissioner. That's Ryan. Make sure that's right. Yes, we've had in the last hour, there's been some damage to the back loop bridge, and I'll go into that in more detail. But first, I just want to say thank you to the public for their patience. We last night closed back loop road at 7:30 as we saw the river rise at a much quicker pace, and really wanted to keep keep people back. And for the most part, the public complied with that, and we're really appreciative of that. Overnight, we saw several different things develop at that bridge. On the east side of the bridge, we saw tree strikes on the upstream side. So it was really good that we kept people off of it, because that tree would have been where people could have been standing and watching. We also saw early this morning, very early in the morning, trees underneath the Brotherhood Bridge that were hitting piles, standing up, and then striking where pedestrians could have been standing. And so we decided to close the pedestrian side on the upstream side. And so again, we thank you for your patience in those closures and abiding by that. In the last hour, we saw a power pole and our wing abutment on the southeast side of the Brotherhood Bridge basically begin to lean into the water. Back loop bridge, I apologize, at the back loop bridge, that southeast side. And we are beginning to lose portions of the road associated with that abutment there. And that's the main support, where we have piles that go into the ground that hold up the bridge sections themselves. The bridge itself is in great condition. We're not concerned about that at this time, but that doesn't mean we are going to have an extended closure while we repair that fill material behind the bridge where it meets the land. We have our state bridge engineer on site, along with several other bridge engineers on site, assessing that at this time. We're going to allow that water to drop and make greater assessments of all of our bridges in the area. And at that time, we'll have a better understanding of how long it's going to be closed and what those repairs will take before we can open it back up. So again, I just want to say thank you for the patience from the public, and I want to say a big thank you to our partners at Tlingit and Haida and CBJ. We had people all night long, and you're going to get photos of this here in the very near future, working hand in hand as our drone pilots were in the air. Your teams were assessing the HESCOs and our bridges, and they were there all night, all the time, from the moment this started to really rise. So we couldn't have done it without you all, and we just want to say thank you, and again, thank you to the public for their patience.
Thank you, Director. My apologies. As I mentioned, it's been a long night, so apologies to you and the Commissioner. Give me a few more hours and I might start introducing myself as the mayor. So again, we're going to hold questions for just a moment, and I'd like to invite Lieutenant Lindsay Wheeler from the U.S. Coast Guard to give us a briefing as well.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Lindsay Wheeler, Chief of Emergency Management and Force Readiness at Coast Guard Sector Southeast Alaska. Coast Guard Sector Southeast Alaska stands ready with our partners and the Unified Command to respond to any search and rescue, pollution threats, and assess impacts to the port. Today and tomorrow, Coast Guard Sector Southeast Alaska is deploying crews to assess any pollution impacts in coordination with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation, and we are aware of all the trees and logs that have been observed downstream of the Mendenhall River. We are broadcasting advisories to mariners regarding the debris in the surrounding waterways of the Mendenhall River. We continue to stand ready to respond alongside our partners throughout the duration of the flood, as we still are in this active incident. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Okay, next, I'd like to invite Mike Downs from the U.S. Forest Service to tell us a little bit about what they experienced and how they responded over the last 24 hours.
Michael Downs, Tongass National Forest, Juneau District Ranger. We currently have a forest order in place that shuts down the Mendenhall Glacier recreation area. I'll start on the west side. So the west side is still underwater, so no assessment, but it's probably going to take us at least 5 or 6 days to assess the road out there, make sure that the flood did not get in the toilets out there. And then on the east side, or the visitor center side, we're looking really good out there. We did shut down the road thanks to the state last night at the last minute at the big gravel lot right after that, so they can turn around there. We're going to keep that closed until 5 o'clock today. We reached out to all the special uses folks last night, the outfitter and guides, to make sure that they didn't bring a whole bunch of folks today. but we're going to be open tomorrow at the VC. We were a little worried at the 16-foot level. We had the power shut down, but the power's back on now. Everything looks really good at the visitor center, but the trails are still underwater, and so we just want to keep folks out for the day. But all good on the east side or the visitor center side.
Thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite Chief Derek Boss to join us to share a few statements as well.
Thank you much, Derek Boss, Police Chief for Juneau Police Department. I just want to thank everybody for being calm and patient out there. I know a lot of people are looking and want to see things going on. We just appreciate you being back. And again, as Chief Russell said earlier, safety is paramount. And as you're interacting with road closures, please be patient, please be calm, please don't be angry. Everyone out there is doing a job and they're trying to do the best that they can. So that's all I've got. Any questions later or no?
Questions later.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and then just a quick comment, or Frank Hauser, Superintendent, Juneau School District, would you mind telling us a little bit about what folks can expect for the first day of school?
Thank you. Frank Hauser, Superintendent, Juneau School District. As we all and always say, the safety of our staff and students is always our #1 priority. We will be canceling school for Thursday, August 14th at all JSD locations. At this time, the National Weather Service flood warning remains in effect for the Mendenhall River until Thursday, August 14th at 8:00 a.m. We have 3 schools in the area. Delaying the start of school by 1 day will allow Unified Command staff and safety crews to assess damage in the valley area. We plan to hold school on Friday, August 15th. We will continue to monitor the situation closely with Unified Command and will notify families if the situation changes. Again, school is canceled on Thursday, August 14th. The first day of school for grades 1st through 12th is scheduled for Friday, August 15th. The first day for kindergarten will continue to be August 19th. Notifications will be sent via automated calls, emails, texts, and the JSD app. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now we are extremely honored to have Brigadier General Getz here with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to share some comments with us as well.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Brigadier General Clete Getz. I'm the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Pacific Ocean Division, and I'm honored to partner with the City and Borough of Juneau and other non-federal sponsors, other non-federal partners, providing technical assistance and flood fighting material to help you respond to this Glacial Lake Outburst flood event. For the past 2 years, the Army Corps of Engineers has provided advanced measures to assist the City and Borough to limit the flood risk related to incidents like these. And in the spring of 2025, the Corps was able to provide approximately 37,800 linear feet of HESCO barrier, 400 super sacks, 112,000 sandbags, and about 25,000 linear feet of plastic sheeting. On the ground now, we have leadership from within the Corps. We have technical experts on the ground, and we're here to observe the effectiveness of the HESCO barriers as well as to gather any evidence and information we might need to inform the technical study we have ongoing. This morning, we assisted the City and Borough with technical expertise to repair the tree strike of the HESCOs in the vicinity of Diamond Park. And lastly, the Alaska District has activated their Emergency Operations Center at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, and we stand ready to assist in any way that we can. So with that, thank you.
Thank you very much. As you can see, this has been a pretty incredible collaboration between local, state, federal, and tribal partners. At the core of that has been this unified command structure between the City and Borough of Juneau and Tlingit and Haida. So I'd like to invite City Manager Katie Kester and Tlingit and Haida COO Roald Helgeson up to share a few comments as well before we move to the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. I echo those comments, and I do also want to echo the comments of Sabrina about the HESCO barriers. Now, I know we're not entirely out of the woods, but the HESCO barriers really have protected our community. If it weren't for them, we would have hundreds and hundreds of flooded homes that we would be all planning to deal with now. That being said, there still will be impacts. There still will be flooded homes, and we will be working, Clinton and Haida, City and Borough of Juneau, DOT, our federal partners, and our volunteers in our community will be working to assess that damage and help our residents. I think just the mere presence of Brigadier General Getz, very high up in the Army Corps, is here watching what we're doing, observing, learning from this event how we can do better, standing with us every step of the way for both our short-term and long-term solution. So I really can't overstate how much we appreciate their partnership and how much even your presence here, General, means that you are here with us and with our community. So as I mentioned, I think that we will be learning a lot from this event, and we will spend the next year working on ways to improve both our mitigation efforts and working on a long-term solution. Really want to thank again all of our partners. I've been really proud to be part of this event because it really shows, and by this event I mean the mitigation measures for the HESCO barriers. It really shows how when you have local, state, tribal, and federal government all working together towards one goal, you can achieve amazing things. So with that, I will hand it over to Roland.
Sangaitla. Good morning, everyone. My name is Roald Helgeson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer with Tlingit and Haida. Tlingit and Haida's Emergency Operations Center has been fully integrated into this Emergency Unified Command, bringing forward tribal priorities, cultural considerations, and needs of our tribal citizens, including providing space for this centralized unified command to meet and do the work that was so important to this flood response. Our tribal liaisons have been embedded in operations and have ensured that decisions honor our sovereignty and to protect our access to traditional foods, medicines, and our cultural sites. We're using our own Everbridge system to keep our tribal citizens informed in real time and to coordinate assistance for those who have needed it most. When governments work together, respecting each other's authority, knowledge, and responsibilities, our communities are safer, they're stronger, and they are more resilient. This is what government-to-government partnership looks like, and what a success that we have seen. As our city manager said, there is still flooding that has happened. There are still people who will be looking to us to assist them in recovery, but we are a far cry from where we were last year. And so to everybody who's participated in that over the last year, I want to express how thank you for their work. And to all of our partners, from the City and Borough of Juneau, to the non-for-profits that have stood up, to the Department of Transportation, to the State of Alaska Emergency Operations, to the Army Corps of Engineers, thank you for your work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to invite all of our representatives to stay up here as we do open up the floor to questions. Again, if you have questions in the Zoom, please use the chat feature and we'll make sure that they get answered. But we'll start with any questions in the room. Go ahead, Corinne.
Yeah, was there any damage to infrastructure like water or sewer lines, or is there any assessment of that at this time?
At this time, we're not aware of major impacts to our municipal infrastructure, municipal utility, the wastewater treatment, or water delivery systems. There is an advisory out from our utility. If folks in the affected area could slightly limit water use, that'll help us ensure that there are no continued impacts.
Yep.
You guys spoke a little bit about some seepage coming through the HESCO barriers. Is there any knowledge of water also coming through the storm drains?
Sorry, could you share which organization you're with?
Oh, I'm Natalie. I'm with the Juneau Independent.
Thank you, Natalie.
So at this time, you are correct. So we did have some seepage that occurred. That being said, through the storm drains, we did not account for any large, backfill or anything of that nature through those avenues.
And I'll just add that monitoring is ongoing. And thanks to our partners at DOT and the unified nature of this response, we have been monitoring that with drones. And that monitoring has been recorded so that can be analyzed, and any improvements that need to be made to infrastructure can be addressed before the next incident.
Claire's with KTOO. Sorry if I couldn't remember. Did you say if any school buildings were damaged during the flood? And if so, what's being done?
Thank you for the question. No, at this time, there's been no reports of any damage to the schools or any water that has gotten any of the 3 schools that are in the area that is impacted.
There's reference to pollution monitoring. Can you say a bit more about that, and what are the sources being watched now for pollution?
So we're not currently aware of any serious pollution concerns, but we do continue to monitor. So we're working with our partners at the Coast Guard and the DEC Shoreline Containment Assessment Team. Thank you, Lieutenant Wheeler, to make sure that there's no sites of concern that could have leaked any hazardous materials. But that's something that we continue to monitor as floodwaters recede.
In addition to that, we do have a Clinkett and Haida tribal representation on that team as well to ensure any sensitive sites are not affected by anything that we may find.
Clarice?
Will there be any other alerts issued that people could expect to get from the city or otherwise?
The next alerts that people can expect to get is going to be an all clear message. That'll be broadcast through the channels that people have been getting their messages from the Everbridge, from AlertSense, from information releases, and our shared social media through the JIC. That message will come, like I said earlier, once our first responders have been able to get access to the area, make sure it's safe, and that the water has receded on the wet side of the HESCO barriers to a point there's no risk of further inundation.
Just to clarify on that, we don't expect to issue another one of those phone alerts that will be really loud and your phone will vibrate, and we don't expect to issue one of those again. So as Ryan mentioned, please follow all of the other channels of communication to look for that all clear. However, if you do get one, please heed it, because we are still in an active incident. Next question? Yep.
Despite the warnings, there are a lot of people out on the riverbanks now checking out the river levels, taking photos. I'm wondering if there is any, or what is the risk of maybe like a push of water coming down, or can you speak about that and kind of what you're seeing on the river level as people are out now?
Nicole, can you speak to that for us? Or sorry, maybe there's another.
I think to clarify your question, are you asking what is the risk of another wave of water being released from the basin? I think Nicole's best.
Yep.
Yeah, right now we expect the water to continue to recede. It is receding slower, further downstream, and so I think staying away from the river is the best advice for everyone right now. That's fast moving water, and it's very dangerous. So staying away from the river is the best advice, as the safety officer noted. We don't expect another surge of water. The basin appears to have emptied, and we don't expect more water. We don't expect the water to rise again.
That being said, it is encouraged to continue to stay away from the HESCO barriers, as different trees and things may have been dislodged, and so that is, we have mentioned repetitively, active incident, and so those, we are trying to monitor closely, but that is still something that is a variable to consider for safety.
Sorry, we'd like to go to a couple questions in the chat.
Okay, first from ADN, are you aware of preliminary reports of homes or businesses with interior flooding? If so, how many?
Do we have a situation update on
Again, at this time, our monitoring is primarily limited to drone monitoring. We are aware of areas that have received more water than others, and as it's deemed safe, our responders will be in the area to make those individual assessments for specific structures.
And then a question from your Alaska link. How many individuals has the Red Cross Emergency Shelter helped so far?
So at this time, the reports we're getting from the community is that a majority of the individuals that did evacuate were evacuating to family and friends. At this point, we have confirmed that 9 individuals did access the Red Cross sheltering at Floyd Dryden.
And then a question that I think will be for Nicole from ADN. The flood crest arrived sooner than originally predicted. Was there something that changed hydrologically as the outburst continued?
I think that'll take a little bit of time to confirm the reasoning behind it, whether it started earlier or it released faster or another. There's a lot of variables in the basin. I don't think that we can fully confirm the why quite yet. The University of Alaska Southeast, the science team, they are planning to fly up to the basin today to do another digital elevation model, which is what they have used numerous times this summer and in past years to estimate the volume of the basin, and that'll be able to give them a lot more information after to determine if all the water drained out, et cetera, how much ice was left over. And so those science partners between USGS and the university and the National Weather Service will be analyzing that data.
And one more question for Superintendent Hauser. From KTOO. Is the district providing any resources and services for families during the closure, such as childcare?
At this time, with the buildings being closed, after-school childcare through the Rally program, when school's closed, then we don't have students in the facilities. Also, as we're going through and doing assessments, like I said, Unified Command staff are going through. We want to make sure that the facilities are clear before we have anybody coming into them.
And then one big question, and this is the last from the chat for a moment, from WNYWTV in New York. Is this common for your area? Is the glacial melt due to climate change?
Nicole?
We have been seeing glacial lake outburst floods from the basin above Mendenhall Glacier since 2011. So yes, it is common for our area. Some years it releases numerous times throughout the summer. The last 3 years have each been new record levels. There are approximately 200 glacially dammed lakes in Alaska, to our knowledge. This one just happens to release and affect a community. There are several others in Southeast Alaska that we also monitor. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Grace, did you?
I was just curious about like the cleanup efforts and what that might look like.
Sure.
So at this time, we are prepping our rosters for the teams that will be going out into the field for preliminary damage assessments. The teams that are responsible for any debris cleanup have preset checklists that they have developed before the disaster even occurred. So it'll be a routine check to go through those, and then an account of any new things that were brought to us by nature, truly. So they are getting geared up to do that activity, and then once we get information from the National Weather Service that the level of the water is starting to recede, and then in conversation with our partners that it's safe to start putting people out in the field, that activity will start. Thank you.
I'll just add that our nonprofit partners, primarily the United Way of Southeast Alaska, does stand ready to assist with long-term recovery and mass care. And as we start to move into that phase of this response, we will be looking to them for assistance. I'd also just like to point out that if anyone is looking for a place to make donations or anything like that, the United Way of Southeast Alaska is a great place and our donation management partner for this incident.
Any further questions? Okay, I'd like to close by saying that as we are in an active incident, okay, we are in an active incident, but we're also now transitioning into recovery mode. So just as we've been directing people to our Juneau Flood Ready page, we also have a Juneau Flood Recovery page that has resources for impacted residents and businesses. For our members of media, we are continuing to populate that Google folder with assets. And we'll just keep checking with that as they come in. We'll be adding to that folder. If you are not able to access the folder or have questions, we have set up a new centralized email address. It's jic@juneau.gov. Please feel free to reach out to us there. I also want to thank our members of the public that have been reaching out to us to share information and ask really good questions to help us understand what the public needs to know. They've been contacting us through our flood information hotline and through our flood response email address and has been really, really helpful. So thanks to all for helping us all stay informed and on the same page. Tentatively, we'll plan to be back here tomorrow morning. If that changes, we'll reach out to everyone via email and feel free to connect with us in the meantime. Thank you so much. As it is an active incident, we would like to clear the room fairly quickly so our folks can get back to work. Thank you.